It is Thursday, March 12th of 2020, and I had an interesting trip to Florida, and that's basically what I'm going to talk about today on Guy's Daily Drive. Yeah. And good afternoon. It is kind of an overcast day, but the temperature is not bad. It's low 60s, and I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. Unless, of course, you're in Florida, whereas low 60s would mean that people are breaking out parkas and large jackets and gloves and mittens and earmuffs and all kinds of things. Because when it comes to low temperatures, the people that live in South Florida really don't know how to handle it. I should know. I used to be one of them. But I went down to Fort Lauderdale to celebrate the 90th birthday of the man who was the band director, marching band leader for Northeast High School in Oakland Park, Florida, for many, many years, including two of the years that I was in high school. And honestly, yeah, it was great to see him, and I'm glad that he's doing well. But at some point, you just kind of look for any excuse to go down to Florida, and that's what I was doing. But it wasn't all fun and games. There was all kinds of weirdness that happened. Not so much on the way down. The trip down was actually really, really good. I flew JetBlue, as I spoke about, I think, in a previous Guy's Daily Drive, and it was nonstop all the way down. There was a little bit of turbulence once we got up and going through like the middle part of the trip. That was not a whole lot of fun, but still not too bad. We got down there, and it took a little less time than anticipated. We actually arrived early, just before 3 o'clock, and I had the bag that I had packed that I didn't have to pay for because I flew JetBlue in their middle tier, and I had that like in 15 minutes, so that was fine. And then all the trouble started. I had a rental car. I usually go with Enterprise, and I don't know if it would have been any better if I had done that this time, but I chose Budget this time. And I've used Budget before, as well as Hertz and Avis and some of the other ones. But if I go down to Florida again, I don't know if I will choose them. Number one, and this wasn't Budget's fault, but Fort Lauderdale, the airport in Fort Lauderdale has become much larger than it was when I was a boy. And so instead of just one terminal, literally the way it used to be, and I'm dating myself here, the way it used to be, you would walk into the one terminal. And when I was a kid, of course, my mom and dad would be with me. You didn't have all these, well, you're not flying, so you can't go nonsense. It was, we're the parents of this boy, and we're going to stay with this boy until he gets on the plane. And we would walk out from that terminal, and typically it was Eastern Airlines for the most part. We would walk into the ass end of a Boeing 727. You can look those up and see where the ass end of it was, where you could actually get onto the plane. And that was, we would take off from there up here to DC. Well, now they have 4 terminals with a separate facility just for rental cars. And when I had my bag, I was looking around for signs that said rental cars this way. Couldn't see one, didn't find one. So I went to the nearest information booth, and I was like, where the heck are the rental cars? And they said, oh, well, just go out that door right there. You basically leave the terminal, and then you get on a bus, and then that bus takes you to where you get your rental car. That's the plan. Unfortunately, at the time of day that I was there, that was everyone's plan. There was a group of probably over 100 people that also wanted to get on these buses, and they were few and far between. And it was looking like it was going to take forever. But I asked someone that was there, somebody that worked there, I said, well, where is the rental car facility? And they said, well, it's right outside of Terminal 1. And I looked over, apart from this huge-ass line that was there to take people just for the rental car, or the rental car facility, and there was an almost empty line for Terminal 1. So I looked at this guy, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to get on this bus for Terminal 1, and I'll walk over from there. So the bus came, and I got on it, and then that guy got on the bus and started talking to the driver, and then the driver gets up, and he walks over, and he says, all right, we're going to make one additional stop. We're going to stop at the rental-car facility, which meant that a whole bunch of the people that had been waiting in line where I was now turned and got on this bus. Which was fine, but it was one of those things where it was like, you guys have been working in this facility for years and years and years, and when it gets backed up like this, nobody ever thought just to put a bunch of people on the Terminal 1 bus and have them go over that way? Apparently not. So I get to the building that has the rental cars, and I walk in and I go up to where the budget counter was, and again, there was like a 3 lanes of people waiting to go up to the counter, and we all had reservations, go up to the counter to ask for a rental car. Couldn't believe it. So far I'm like a half hour in, like 15 minutes to get my bag, and then another half hour just to get on a bus to take me to where the rental car was, and then another 45 minutes waiting in line at the rental car, at budget rental car, to talk to someone to give me a car. And when I finally got up to the counter, I said, I don't really care exactly what kind of car you give me for the most part, but I do want to have Apple's CarPlay Android Auto available in the vehicle so that I can use my phone for GPS and things like that, podcasts. And this seemed to be a foreign concept to everyone that was working there at Budget. Nobody had any idea what I was talking about. But they finally figured, okay, well, what kind of cars have that? I said, well, a lot of the Kias do. So they put me down for a Kia Optima. I said, okay, that's fine. I leave there, walk out into the garage, and there's yet another line of like 20 people waiting for cars, because what was going on, they weren't exactly backlogged, but apparently a lot of people were late bringing their cars in, so they were doing this quick turnaround thing where they would basically get the car in, do a quick wash, make sure it had gas, and then swing it back around as fast as they could for the next group of people that were waiting for cars. Now, I could have right away gotten a car if I wanted a minivan. And oddly enough, I did not want a minivan. I don't particularly want to drive minivans. And most of them, I don't believe, had CarPlay anyway. So, finally, like after another ridiculous wait, they asked if I would take a Chevy Impala. And I was like, yeah, Chevy Impala, that's fine. I'll take that. I don't care. And it did have CarPlay. And it was okay. The interior was not exactly all that ergonomic. The seats weren't really that comfortable. I mean, compared to a lot of the cars that I've driven over the years, I can see why American cars are in such dire straits. They really need to take a clean sheet approach to designing cars and build cars that people actually want instead of just guilting people into buying them because they're an American company. That's, that just doesn't work anymore. So I'm in this Chevy Impala, but it's taken me so long. It's now well after 5 o'clock, so rush hour traffic has started, and now it's going to take me over 2 hours to drive to Palm Beach, where my brother's house is. And by the time I got there, we went out and we got something to eat. And, by the time the whole thing was said and done, it was, almost 10 o'clock. I'd been up since very early that morning, and then, of course, the stress from the flight and everything else. It was like, just exhausted. So went to bed. On Friday, I love my brother Larry. He's probably the smartest person that I have ever had the pleasure to meet over the years. But he is a confirmed bachelor, and the place was a little bit of a mess. So we spent a good part of Friday and Saturday just kind of picking up a little bit. And then Friday we went to the Funky Buddha, which I was talking about in the last Guy's Daily Drive, so that we could meet up with some high school friends of mine. I'm really sorry that no one who may have seen or heard Guy's Daily Drive wasn't able to make it, because it was fun. The beers they have there are quite tasty, and I'm not really even a beer guy. If you're ever in the Fort Lauderdale, Oakland Park area, they are on Dixie Highway and Park Lane, 38th Street. They changed it. It used to just be 38th Street. Now it's Park Lane or something like that. But it's right there by the railroad tracks. And we had a wonderful time. I met up with Sandra and Tim Hancock, who I've known since I was in the 4th grade. And we'd both been in band together as well, too. Bob Wilcox was there, who I've also known from about that same time period, as well as myself and my brother Larry. So the 6 of us were there, and it was just so much. Or 5 of us. Sorry, I can't do basic math. We just had a really, really nice time, just kind of shooting the breeze and chatting, and it was just nice. One of those things where your expectations aren't so high, or there's not so much anxiety on seeing someone that you haven't seen in a while, because Sandra and Tim and I and Bob as well have gotten together a few times over the years. I was kind of sorry that a few of the other people, I won't mention them here, weren't able to make it, but people have lives, and I can't expect them to completely rearrange whatever it is that they're doing, just because some weirdo happens to pop into town every once in a while. So then that gets us to Saturday, and we went to this I guess it's a small restaurant chain called Bahama Breeze, I think is what it's called, and the food was really, really good. But that was where they were doing the birthday celebration for Mr. J. And so we were there for a few hours, and then Larry and I went back, and that was Saturday. So Sunday, I drove up, a lot of driving on this trip. I drove up to see my brother Bill and his wife Daisy and his son Jeff and their kids at their house there in Jupiter, Florida. And at perfect timing, right as I got there, they were just finishing up cooking this huge brunch. Oh my God, the food was so good. And then I spent a couple hours helping my brother with some technical issues, and then drove back. So I think I was there for 6 hours, and it took me about 6 hours to get there and back. So that was, that was a pretty full day. Monday, I kind of drove around to some of the old haunts, past the schools that I went to, where I used to live. I stopped in to see a neighbor who still lives next door to the house that I grew up in. And she's lived there. Her name is Pat. She's lived there since 1972. And I didn't get a chance to see her son Byron, who I was good friends with, or his brother, who I didn't know nearly as well. But things are, when you just kind of show up, you just kind of show up, and I'm just glad that Pat was there. And so we had a nice conversation, and that was fun. Tuesday, of course, I flew back, got rid of the rental car, and that kind of brings us to today. Being off from work for 4 days meant that there was a lot of stuff to do. With everything that's going on right now in the world, coronavirus, they're instituting a policy where they're going to have people start teleworking for a couple of days a week of the week to, I guess, kind of reduce the number of people that are in some of the buildings that we work in. And I'm scheduled to telework on this coming Monday and Tuesday. It's kind of a test run. And I'm in the process of trying to get of course, I have a Mac at home, to see if I can get that to connect to computers at work. What I'm thinking about doing is getting a cheap Windows laptop and just set that up, and then that would be kind of just a basic work computer. I don't know if I would ever use it for anything else, but that would also mean that I wouldn't have to compromise security settings on my Mac, because you have to pretty much open your computer to everything for this system that they have set up at work to operate properly. So that's where I'm going with that. I will probably talk a little bit about that on the next Guy's Daily Drive. Hard to say, there may be other weirdness going on, and Lord knows, the weather is now getting better and it's lighter later, so I can actually start maybe getting a few more of these out. That would be nice. That would be nice. I actually kind of wanted to do some while I was down in Florida, but I didn't bring the mount stuff that I use in this car with me, and couldn't find anything relatively inexpensive to use in a rental car, so I just figured I'd give it a miss till I got home. So here we are now. I would like to say thank you for downloading, watching, listening to Guy's Daily Drive. However it is you may consume this content, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. And if you'd like to help contribute to the things that I do here on Guy's Daily Drive, as I just got a very generous donation from Christopher. I think he's from Germany. Christopher Trach. If I've mispronounced your name, Chris, I'm so sorry. But thank you so very, very much for your donation. Any little bit helps, and you were very, very generous. Thank you so very, very much. But if you would also like to help contribute to the things that I do and all the craziness that is involved with Guy's Daily Drive and the Mac to the Future Go livecast and the MyMac.com podcast, all you have to do is you can go to patreon.com/MacParrot. You can also go to, Coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot. And lastly, you can also go to PayPal, paypal.me/MacParrot. Oh, how about that? And those are all the various ways that you can help contribute. You can also, if you'd like to just leave me a comment, you can comment here on YouTube if you like, share, subscribe to Guy's Daily Drive. That would be one way that you could help contribute. You can also leave a comment there on YouTube. You can leave a comment through my email address, which is guy@mymac.com. On the Twitters, I am MacParrot, and I'm also VertShark. What else? There's so many different ways you can get a hold of me through Mac to the Future. Facebook group, of course, my own personal page in Facebook. So many different ways that you can contact me. So greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And I will catch you all next time right here. We gotta come to a stop. Oh, everyone's gonna die. Ah, right here on Guy's Daily Drive. Bye.